vehicles.
Jeff Gordon managing things well today. He has worked his way back up to 7th in the running order, Matt.
On the move, like you mentioned, up to 7th, like so many others in the top 10. Adam, he took 2 tires the last stop. It's not been a problem-free day, though, for the 24. We told you earlier, issues on pit road. He lost a few spots, and then he was dealing with a problem that he has since fixed by going to his backup battery. But this is some of the communication from the 24 radio.
We got a problem. All the gauges going haywire. I think I've got no volts.
Can you see the volts? Can you see the voltmeter?
The gauges won't work. They're all at 0. Volts are showing 0, but it keeps cycling, and the thing's missing right now.
10-4. Get a battery ready here, guys. Get a battery. Go to battery 2, bud. See if it comes back. Battery 2.
While Jeff Gordon, you're listening to his radio, he went around Tony Stewart. We talked about that 2-tire situation for Newman and Stewart. Jeff Burton went around Ryan Newman. We told you Jeff Gordon around Tony Stewart, so perhaps those left side tires fading a bit.
Yeah, you can only get so much out of your set of tires, and these guys have run 110 laps now on their left sides.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 300-lap race. I mean, we're running over a third of the race on one set of tires, and that we don't hear about that. We used to hear about it at Talladega and sometimes at Daytona.
Yeah,
but nowhere else.
What do you see with Kurt Busch, Larry?
Well, I like what he and Steve Addington are doing because they've been going with the 2 tires, 4 tires, 2 tires. They changed 2 on that very first caution at lap 31. Then they went with 4. And on this last caution, they went with 2 there. But I think what these guys are going to have to be careful. I don't think you want to be put in a box and then the last 100 to 125 laps have to change 4 tires. I think you want to keep fresh enough left side tires on the car that once we get to about 125, 100 to go, you know you've got one more stop to make. You can do that by just putting 2 right side tires on.
Or if it's green, gas and go.
Especially if it's late. We saw a lot of that yesterday in the NNS race.
Yep.
We haven't talked a lot about Casey Kane today. He's been in the top 10 all afternoon. This has been a track that's been pretty decent to him, and here he is going after Jimmy Johnson for the top spot.
And he has run this 48 car down, but as we watch the 48 and the 4 of Casey Kane, right to the right of your screen, you'll see Jeff Burton peeking in. And Jeff Burton's not been this close to the lead all year long, or in a pretty good while, so that's pretty impressive.
Burton hadn't had a top 10 since last October at Martinsville. I mean, this team desperately needs something good to happen. And Kyle, just as you talked about it, here comes the 31 joining Johnson and Casey Kane, a trio out front.
And I don't know what they've changed on that 31, but when the green flag dropped at the beginning of this race, that 31 looked like junk.
Yeah.
So whatever they've done during the pit stops, they've done a good job, and they've got him in the right direction. And this is one of those tracks. This is probably one of Jeff Burton's best racetracks. I don't care if he came here in a wheelbarrow, he would get around this place fast.
He's won here 4 times, more than any other. Led every lap here in 2000 when he went to victory lane. And he opens up the inside on Casey Kane. This is the battle for second. What are they saying in the 31 camp, Chris?
Well, obviously, Jeff Burton very happy with that race car. You were wondering what they've been up to. Pretty much just dropping the air pressure in that car. And like Larry Mack was saying on the 22, they've also been going with that 2-tire, 4-tire, 2-tire strategy. That last stop, just 2 tires.
Ooh, slid up just a little bit too much there, the 4 car.
Wow, good job by both those guys.
A little crossover move for Kane. He gets the second position back from Jeff Burton.
Yeah, Jeff did a great job. He got up into Casey and then had to overcorrect and correct it. Casey got on the brakes really hard to give him plenty of room, and then he let him back in line. That's a great example of 2 drivers getting into each other, not on purpose or anything, but actually giving and taking and allowing each other to save the car and come back.
2 guys you can tell have a lot of respect for each other.
A lot of respect for each other. That was a good show.
My respect for Jeff Gordon is going up. He's gotten around another one. He is now 4th as we look one more time at the situation between Burton and Kane.
It's just sometimes you just got to drive it just a little bit harder when you're down on the inside, which Burton does. But then his car starts to slide and he loses traction. It just slides up just a little bit, makes a little contact. But as he was saving it, the 4 car was a lot faster because Jeff Burton was saving it. Went right back around, and you know, Jeff wasn't going to fight him too hard on that.
That was good for Jimmy Johnson, who has stretched his advantage a bit. How about 0.2 of a second over Casey Kane, Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, the top 5. We completed 117 laps here in Loudon, New Hampshire. NASCAR.com's ultimate tailgating vehicle is presented in part by Coors Light. Go to NASCAR.com/UTV and enter for a chance to win this tricked out tailgate machine and find out where it will travel this summer. Visit NASCAR.com/UTV and get started. We have a new race leader here at New Hampshire. While we were away, Casey Kane to the inside of Jimmy Johnson for the top spot.
Jimmy's going to need this caution in about another 10 laps in order for this strategy for those guys to work in their favor. If not, they're going to have to come in and make a pit stop under green. And again, you make a pit stop under green here, you can lose a lap.
Yeah, because pit road, it's a long pit road. The corners are so slow, you have to slow down so much to even get into the pits.
Yeah.
And then when you leave, you can't accelerate as fast as you can at other mile and a half racetracks.
And right now, he's struggling. As you see right now, he's losing a lot of time. In this next 10 laps, he's going to lose a lot more track time on Casey Kane.
Yeah.
He was leading just 2 laps ago. Now he's almost 2 seconds behind. It's just a couple laps.
Both Gordon and Burton have gotten around Jimmy Johnson, Ralph.
Well, it's all risk reward, isn't it? That was the gamble. How long could they stay out before the yellow came out? They're going to have to pit now in about 10 laps and come in. The last time they pitted guys was on lap 59. They've been begging him to save fuel. Hang in there as best you can. Keep your fingers crossed for that yellow flag.
As they run on track, Jimmy Johnson is taken over the championship lead, but that will likely go away when he makes this green flag pit stop. As Ralph said, it's now around 10 laps away. And the reason Johnson the point leader, because Kyle Busch behind the wall, and we're about to have a new leader, your man Jeff Gordon to the point, Wally.
Yeah, like I said, watching him even early, his car just looks so good through the center, which is the key here in New Hampshire. And well, he just charged to the front and just see ya.
And when he made that pass, he rolled, just as you say, he rolled incredible through the center of 3 and 4, but had that thing pointed straight when he came up off the corner. As the 4 car drifted out to the wall, the 24, Jeff Gordon, just drove straight by him on the inside.
Nice work, bud. Volt check, please.
Just a tiny bit less than the last time, but almost the same.
You know, Jeff Gordon's got Alan Gustafson on the pit box. You heard him talking there. Oh, Alan's been pretty good at New Hampshire. He had a win here with Kyle Busch back in June of '06 and helped Mark Martin to his last Sprint Cup Series victory in September a couple of years ago. And Kane going to be his teammate next year at Hendrick Motorsports. I'd say somewhere Rick Hendrick is smiling. He got the top 2 in this race when you look at Kane on the way and Jimmy Johnson a couple of spots back and forth.
Let's not forget about this little voltage issue with the 24. Yeah. I mean, he's got clear racetrack in front of him, but this could be an issue for these guys.
Well, you felt like it was a matter of time before Jeff Gordon was going to get the race lead. And now that he's got it, he is pulling away from Casey Kane at the line. His advantage, 0.8 of a second. Kurt Busch running in the top 5. He's gotten around Tony Stewart here for position. In fact, Stewart and Newman, who dominated the first 100 laps of this race, on the same left side tires that they started the event with, they're 6th and 7th right now. Everybody behind old driver 24. Already a couple of wins this year, and he's trying to become the 3rd to get the hat trick. He leads 129 laps in. 15 laps away from the halfway point in today's Lenox Industrial Tools 301 at New Hampshire. Jeff Gordon leading the way, a 3.2 second advantage over Jeff Burton. Kyle Busch, the point leader coming in today, returns to the track after spending 76 laps in the garage. Time now to take an inside look at what is happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and Evo 4G, America's first 4G phone. Talking about Jeff Burton and Ryan Newman. Check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the Evo only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed. Burton, fastest speed of the day, and driver 39 Ryan Newman has led the most laps, 47 circuits. He has been out front here this afternoon. A couple of things we should clean up. Jamie McMurray running 36th, 1 lap down. He had to make an unscheduled pit stop because of a loose lug nut. And we told you about Kyle Busch back on track. He has scored in 39th, 76 laps behind the race leader. Cut a tire, hit the wall earlier. And he is now 4th in the standings after entering this race at the top of the championship. Jimmy Johnson also had to make his pit stop while we were away. We knew he would. It was a scheduled stop under green. He is now 1 lap down, back in 35th.
And now if the caution came out right now, he'd be okay.
Yeah, because he's the only car. Right. He's the first car, so he's going to get the lucky dog.
Yeah.
So it's not really.
And he doesn't have to come in.
And he doesn't have to come in. So it's not. Then he's got his track position back. You know. And that I guess you get the wave around. I don't know how all that stuff works sometimes. You know. But he's not in as bad a position as he could have been.
Right.
You see Brian Vickers with him on track. Vickers right now in 9th. We talked so much about Casey Kane. Red Bull as a whole doing a nice job today with Vickers up there inside the top 10.
But you know, we talked about it last week at Kentucky, and we've talked about it before. Ever since they made the announcement, when they made the announcement that this team was going to be different than next year than what it is. You know, they hope to still be in racing. They hope to still be around. This whole team has picked it up. I think Brian has. I think Casey has just done a phenomenal job of going in there and showing those guys how good their equipment is and what their equipment can do.
Another couple of guys that look good. Logano right in front of him, running in the 8th position, and Greg Biffle, new crew chief and all, in the top 10 today. And Jeff Burton checking out at the front, Matt.
And the last report from Jeff Gordon is that his voltmeter is registering 12.4. I did talk to Scott Maxim from the Hendrick Engine Department. He says that the alternator is charging, but not charging 100%. They did bring a battery down into the pit, so if they have to go that route, they have one standing by. Let's go to Larry Mack. And Larry Mack, what is this team going to have to go through if they have to make a battery swap?
Well, Matt, here at a place like New Hampshire Motor Speedway, there is a huge draw on the electrical charging system. You have the ignition system yourself, you have the brake blowers, you have the tire blowers, you have the air conditioning system for the driver. So there's a huge need for the electrical charging system. What Jeff Gordon has already had to do, he had to reach over here and go from the primary battery to the backup battery. So he's already done that. I've got to also believe that Alan Gustafson maybe had him cut some of the coolers off. Now, if they have to actually change the battery, they have to come here, take the left rear tire off, and go behind this panel right here. This is where both batteries are located, and they'll have to change that battery out. I think you can do it here under caution, but you would lose 2 or 3 laps if you had to indeed do that under green. Also hearing that Mark Martin possibly having the same problem.
And the thing is, Larry, also if you change one battery, you have to hope that that battery is going to last till the end of the race. Now right now we're right about halfway, but that's one thing, is hopefully that battery will last 150 laps.
Well, Wally, I think the biggest thing is you've got to have him cut off anything he possibly can. Unfortunately, like his air conditioning system, I'd be reluctant to cut all the brake blowers because you use so much brake here.
Somebody in the wall, Keselowski.
Brad
Keselowski. Like he may have
into the wall with our 4th caution of the day.
He might have cut a right front tire there. And this talking about the 48 car, this is what they needed.
Well, and Kevin Harvick also had made a green flag pit stop. He was a lap down.
Because Stremme will get the lucky dog.
Yeah, Stremme's the first to lap down. Gordon had gotten around him.
But so Johnson will get the wave around.
And he's only got a few laps on his tires, which brings him back.
We look back at Brad Keselowski going down into turn 3.
Same thing.
You know, and Kyle Busch talked about it earlier. Yeah. This is the point of the part of the race where you do get those beats to start melting on these things. When you have long green flag runs and you're used to the brakes like these cars are right now, that's when those things get really hot in the right front.
Yeah, you know, I guess we were wrong when we said that Kyle and those guys that got together. I think they had got together, but I think Goodyear confirmed that he did blow a bead. It's just hard to believe you blow a bead that early. Kyle must have just been driving the wheels off of it on the brakes. But you see, and when you see that the picture of Brad, when the air comes out of the tires, it just blows the hood up. I mean, it's really funny the way it looks, but that's a hard hit when you go down in that corner and that thing blows like that.
Pit stops lap 145, Chris.
Yeah, Jeff Burton, great car right now. They've been on this 2-tire, 4-tire, 2-tire strategy. So this time, Todd Berrier saying we're going to go 4 tires, no changes. So just 4 tires and fuel. Matt?
And the 24 came to a stop, and right before he was mentioning about it being hot, and they were going to get some ice. He goes, no, the car is running hot. No chassis adjustment for Gordon on this stop, but 4 tires, Ralph.
Greg Biffle's been running really good, getting a little pattern late in the run out of the rear end of the car. 4 tires of fuel. They don't want it freed up. They're going to leave all the adjustments alone, Marty.
Bottom of your screen for the first